Good morning, America. It is I, Jay Sims, the Lion, and we are back. The Book of Man Saturday Conversation. And you know what month it is? It's February. It's the Lovers Month, Black History Month. We got to get all of it in. The weekends are thrown all off. We got the Super Bowl. We got the All-Star. You better figure out what's important to you this month. You can't be everywhere, but you got to be somewhere. So if you got to take care of your lady, you better pick a weekend. I'm doing Saturday. You might want to get it out the way on Saturday because the Super Bowl on Sunday. And you got to think about that All-Star game coming up. What about them birthdays coming up? You better make sure you schedule this month out right, man. Because if the ladies feel slighted, you're gonna have a hard time. But anyway, we here. It's Saturday. Let's do our thing. What's going on, big brother? How you doing, sir?
Man, what is happening, bro? Thanks for the reminder because, yeah, it is February. Mean a lot of things. My son's birthday is in February. Valentine's Day. Just, yeah, I got to try to get right for that. And Black History Month. And just in case y'all didn't know, check out the T-shirt my wife made.
Oh, the weeping child. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. If we didn't know, cited the largest slave sale in American history. There were over 400 slaves sold just to pay off a debt right here in Savannah. And they didn't teach that in school. We didn't know.
Nope.
That stuff happened. So
it's a whole lot of Black history doesn't get taught in school, even in the Black History Month, because they teach us the same thing every month for 12 years, and it's a little ridiculous. We get MLK every Black History Month for 12 years. The whole time you're in school, you get MLK, and it's a little ridiculous. And I don't get me wrong, I love MLK and everything he did, but there's a lot more to Black history than
just that.
We get slavery and Martin Luther King. That's all we get.
That's it. So tell me this, man. Before I even jump into that, I almost forgot. Let's do some housekeeping stuff. Here y'all go. If you are watching this live stream, there are a couple ways to interact with us. Number one, go below the stream you are watching. Yeah, right down there. Go there. Type your comment. Once we see your comment, we're going to throw it up. Look at here. Freddie Brown, much respected. Love this man. Peace and blessings, family. Just like that, it can happen. If you got a lot to say, you want to jump on with us, throw it in the comments. Let us know. I'll shoot you the link. You can jump right on. We can talk about it. You can show your camera. You don't have to. You know, I just need to see you in the beginning. You can turn it off. Say your piece. You go out. Next thing. I didn't put the link in the description, but I will. Check out Book of Man on YouTube. Check out the Book of Man Facebook page. We have a group with almost 500 members in it, and we share a lot of uplifting topics for men and fathers. And you want to be a part of that. We got a lot of stuff happening. We got the Nerd Show. We got the Saturday Talk. We got the book study. Lions Den coming soon. I mean, like, we got it going on over there. So you want to go ahead and be a part of that.
Yes, sir. We got it. Check us out. We have a good time over there, and we definitely there to uplift and motivate. And if you need a little help, feel free to reach out. There's a lot of guys in the group with a lot of different talents. If you got a business you want to promote, you're more than welcome. If you're looking for a certain type of business, ask. You know, a lot of guys do a lot of different things over there. A lot of guys do a lot of different type of work. You know, we got a lot of help over there, and we are a big part of helping the community and helping each other out the best we can.
That's right. Give you the horn. I'm going to try to use it less, but I had to throw it out on that. So, Lion, you know what the topics was for the day. So I'm going to let you choose the angle of attack on this. You throw it out there, the angle. I'll set it up and we can go.
Well, the first thing I want to talk about, because it's been in the news, been in the national news, has been the entire Tyree Nichols murderous, brutal, just one of the worst things I've seen. I took some time out and watched the video. I don't even really know if I should have. Because it really put me in a bad place. I couldn't finish it. It was like 66 minutes. I couldn't finish it. I thought it was it was as bad, if not worse, than the George Floyd situation.
That's right.
Probably. Yeah, well, I think it hurt so much because it was us. It was us doing us.
That's true.
And it was 5 young black police officers and 1 young black man, and all black men. And the way I feel about how we as black men need to support each other, watching 6 black men in that situation. Uh, it really made me feel some kind of way. It was a horrible feeling, and what took place was just. And when I first saw it, I said to myself, "Oh, this doesn't look like anything to do with police work. It looked personal."
Yeah. But let's look at
You
some
know,
facts from that. I happened to run across it. I watched the video too. I had to skip past certain parts because it was very long.
yeah.
But here's some facts that came out that regular people might not know. So here you go. Number one, people from Atlanta, they know
Mm-hmm.
about the Red Dogs from back in the
Mm-hmm.
90s. The chief of police that started the Red Dogs, she was forced to resign or fired or what have you. But guess where she's working right now? Memphis,
Memphis.
Tennessee.
Mm.
And in Memphis, they have a similar group. I'm going to call them a gang because this was actually a gang called the Scorpions. These dudes that did this, members of the Scorpions. The other part where you talked about it being personal, there are rumors going around and bits and pieces about Tyree Nichols perhaps dating or seeing the girlfriend or ex-girlfriend of one of the police officers. If you mix those two things together, you get unchecked force
Mm-hmm.
coupled with the want for revenge and teaching a lesson.
Yep.
And you get this. The fact of, and this is something we need to realize, and I think this is one of our downfalls, especially considering African Americans. We give other black people passes for stuff we shouldn't give passes for.
Right.
All the time, your business is not a good idea. Your product is not superior. Your actions are not justified all the time.
Nope.
And now I think people are in a quandary because they're seeing this and they're stuck. It's like a cognitive reset or like a reboot. They're like, oh, I got to reboot this. I got to really think about it. But I mean, overall, this was a terrible situation. That man shouldn't have
Okay.
died.
Correct. Okay. A couple of things. I do agree with you on the cognitive reboot to a certain extent,
Mm,
but I will say this: it is amazing how when it was 5 black police officers, how quick they were arrested and charged.
yes. And you saw how they changed the mugshots.
Right.
They changed the pictures.
Yeah. It was them in their uniform. They changed them in their in their regular clothes.
Uh-huh.
So it's amazing to me how quick that happened when in other prior situations it was, oh, we got to investigate. We don't know all the details, X, Y, Z, even though we had video and all that stuff before that clearly showed what we all thought and would later be proven was, you know, criminal activity. It's amazing how quickly everything happened uh, when it was black police officers, and I absolutely believe it was correct. I'm
Mm-hmm.
simply saying, moving forward, regardless of the color of the police officers, action should be just as swift.
That's right. That's right. And I
That's
think,
all I'm saying. We know the police can act swiftly, so don't give me the oh we have to do all this other stuff. No, y'all can arrest them today.
oh yeah. So we don't want to be treated extra or given an advantage. We want to be treated the same,
Right.
whether it's good or bad. And I think
Correct.
that our good friend Gus Wright said it best in one of his posts. And I totally agree. He said the way that they behaved at that stop, right? And they knew body cameras was on says a lot.
Right.
He's not the first person they beat up.
No. Oh, that's routine.
And what was sad about it, and I know this is going to segue into the second part of this. When I watched the video in the beginning, they're saying get down on the ground, and he's already on the ground. And it was like, get down, get down. Had his arm twisted behind him, so he physically could not get down. So they was acting for the camera, but putting the man in a position where he could not comply.
Correct. Correct. They wanted to have the right stuff in the audio,
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't been trained to not be violent, and they haven't been trained to how to de-escalate and all that. They've been trained how to say and do the right things so the camera and the audio
Mm-hmm.
will defend you.
Oh yeah.
You
But
know,
he wouldn't comply. He wouldn't get down.
yeah, he would. Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't comply, or I fear for my life. All of these are standard statements
And
that the police have learned to get themselves out of situations.
the arms don't bend that way.
Right.
And they told him, "Oh, I'm gonna snap this arm off." Then they maced him while he was holding him, beating with the baton. He got up and ran away. They caught him, and that's when they killed him with the boot to the head.
Yes.
Um, so let's look at this from another angle, or try to connect this to what this was. So, well, hold on. Before I even go there, anything else you want to say about that particular situation?
No, I feel like it's been covered, and I wanted to say what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have to do better. There's somewhere I realize police training is what it is. I refuse to believe it can't be better.
Oh yeah. I don't think it was a
Um,
trainer. They don't train people to do that. They train. What happened to me, I think they just disregarded what they wanted and gave in to their acts of revenge and
well, I
gave
think
in to
they
that
just
power you can abuse.
yes, I think they have learned how to function and do what they want to do while being on camera, while being recorded, and they've trained more in how to get away with the stuff still than actually how to correct the issues.
Exactly. So, but let's take a look at this. So, this is our thumbnail for the day. He is me. There's no manual for this. And you got a
Hmm.
father that is correcting his son. This is
Correct.
important to us. And this is why, and this
Yes.
is how this ties in to what we just talked about. What what in the world, what advice could you have given to your son to not be killed by the police at that point? What in the world could we do?
Okay. We first off, we don't know all the details.
Mm-hmm.
If it was personal, I don't think it's nothing you could have done. Um, Also, when it comes to, and this is the magic word, compliance with the police. We all, as black men, had that talk, and
Mm-hmm.
we've all, as fathers, black fathers, had that talk with our sons and daughters. Um, and we tell them all, we all tell them the same thing. Just do what they say. I want you to come home. If they tell you to get out of the vehicle, whatever, don't resist. Get on the ground. It's okay if they arrest you. I'll come get you. We all tell our kids all the same thing. Just do
Mm-hmm.
what you got to do to come home. I look at that situation. I don't know what else Mr. Nichols could have done. He had to feel when they had him, they were gonna kill him.
Yeah.
So he got up and went. I don't know how he could have not felt they're going to kill me. And it is all of us natural fight or flight built into us. He didn't have his hands free, and it
No.
was five of them, so he couldn't afford. So he tried to run. I don't know what that young man could have done differently. I don't know what do. I tell my son lay there and take it until they decide to stop?
I mean, that's about it. The only thing I can see that he possibly could have did was just to go limp. They pull you out of the car,
Maybe.
you just go limp, and they put the cuffs on you. I mean, they're gonna beat you some more after they cuff you up. Um,
You know what I thought about the most in this situation was what if he wasn't alone? What 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 would his friend or family member have done in that situation? If you, because I look at that and I say, if that was my brother, we both
mm,
would have died that day. Because I would not have let you do that to my brother. That was one of my cousins who I hold dearly, like my cousin Dre, who's been on this program with us before.
Mm-hmm.
We both would have lived, or we both would have died that day. Because I would, there's
Yeah.
no way I could resist not watching my family member and not getting involved in that,
Yeah. Not helping them. Yeah.
not
You have
helping
to
them.
make the decision.
Right. Because you from Savannah, we from Savannah. You don't let your family go out like that. We
No,
we
you can't.
go you can't. We
You
we
can't.
gonna all go home beaten and bloody, or we gonna all we gonna come out on top, or we ain't come out at all.
That's true. And there's 5 of them. I mean, all you can do it, and then you can't call for help because those are people that's supposed to help you.
Yeah.
But there's a stark difference between police in like European countries and police here.
Very big difference.
They actually fulfill their roles. They are brightly colored, neon, everything. Like, hey, I'm the police. I'm here. Here we looking
Yep.
for unmarked cars, dark tent, and it's stealth.
Yep.
And especially for
Well,
this young man, there's nothing he could have did except
well, I
not get
think
involved.
we trying to catch criminals.
Mm-hmm.
In other countries, they're trying to prevent crime.
Yeah.
That's the major difference. The major difference between trying to catch criminals and trying to prevent crime. We love crime in this country. We
Oh
love
yeah.
it. We're
They
built
all
on
committed. Mm-hmm.
it. Let's talk about the fact that we are a thug nation.
Yeah.
That's what we are. Believe it or not, we're built on crime. We're founded on slavery, human trafficking. If you're confused about what crime it is,
Mm-hmm.
human trafficking. This country is founded on human trafficking.
You're right.
So make no mistake about it. We are a thug nation. We are a criminal nation. We have used crime and used illegal activity throughout this country and the world to build this country. The police force in this country was started to keep poor people from taking rich people's stuff,
Or
period,
slave catchers.
or slave catchers.
The slave
The
catchers.
sheriff badge is the slave catcher badge.
And that's true. But I mean, in this case,
So,
it's nothing he could have did, man. I don't think it was anything he could have did. I don't think as a father, this is one of the things that scares me. Um, because no matter what circles you run in, eventually this could happen.
yeah,
Because you could say, okay, well, certain sides of town, you don't go there. Or if it starts getting dark, don't be outside or something like that. But then you're restricting a life at that point for something that might happen. And if this was personal, it was nothing he could have did. Not one thing. Because they was
no,
gonna figure out a way to get him. Because they
right.
wanted to beat him down. They didn't want to put him in jail. They didn't want to get him a record. They wanted to beat him down and show him a lesson.
And that's an interesting topic you bring up. Don't do this. Don't go there. Don't go to this place. Don't go to that place. That is a restricted life.
Mm-hmm.
And while I know myself, I tell my children, go out, see the world, experience as much as you can experience. But then I had to live with that caveat of if I tell them that, I have to give them all these other rules,
Yeah. And you know what?
especially my girls, unfortunately.
But here's a story. I don't think I ever shared this with y'all, but it's kind of connected with how do you lead your life and what happens. About 2 weeks ago. Oh, hold on. You know what we didn't do?
Now give me my theme music.
Oh, look at here. OG in the house, #1 supporter, been here with Booker Man since day one. And let me be late on something. Oh, I'm getting a message. Hey, bro, we doing a nerd show tonight. He is always there. OG, we love you, man. But, he said actually it started with theft. When the Europeans came, they took the land. Then the rest of the evils followed. Giving it
Yep.
to you, bro.
Yep. Dead on that one.
But let me tell y'all this story. And this is why I don't know what to tell my son, because it could let's say if it's not retribution or something like that, like you just being normal. So, well, y'all might not know, I'm redoing the studio. So I got carpet in here, all kinds of stuff going on. And I was at Home Depot about 2 weeks ago looking at carpet. The first time I'm looking at carpet and I'm on the aisle by myself at Home Depot. Next thing I know, I look to my left and I see this lady. She start to go down the aisle. She look up and see me. She quickly turned her cart the other way and left. Now here I am, big black man, 6'1", 230, no, I'm 225, 227, somewhere around there. But I got on a shirt that says Sonic the Hedgehog on the front. You know what I'm saying? Being non-threatening. And she ran from me. If that lady would have said, oh, yeah, this man is threatening, this man is doing that, it would have been trouble. So right after that, I left the aisle. I looked in the discount section. I found some stuff that I put in here. But when I give y'all the studio tour, you'll see that. So I got these rugs and I went back to the carpet aisle. And it was this white lady and her son. They was looking at carpet. And if I walked past them the first time and went to the end, looked, and they was picking out colors and this and that. And I came back toward their way. This lady grabbed her son by the arm and dragged him off. And he said, Mom, what you doing? We still looking at the carpet. And she was like, no, stop. Let's go. We got to go. They was running from me.
Wow.
They could have easily said and reported that I was harassing them or something like that. What do you tell your kids to do in that situation? Because here's the thing. We want to be brave and strong. We don't want to back down, right?
No.
But if you don't back down, it could be your last time standing up.
Mm.
What do you tell your kids?
I think it's a lot of times where wrong place, wrong time applies. And those situations should not be among them.
Mm-hmm.
As black men, and specifically black boys, even more so, we should be able to be out in society without having to worry about something as ridiculous as that.
Yeah.
There's no reason you should be in the Home Depot taking your time looking around. I don't care if you was just in there lollygagging. It's a public place. Whether you was looking at the carpet or not, if you was just in there, I gotta kill 30 minutes till my wife come out from the other store. I'd rather go kill her at Home Depot than waiting on her at the shoe store, whatever the case might be. You should be able to do that without it being an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And what you tell your son in a situation like that is you would tell him you didn't do anything wrong. And
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna tell my son he's wrong for looking around a store. Now, if there was a situation where those people decided to go and say, "Hey, there's a black guy harassing me," I would tell my son to listen to what they're saying, and your reply should be, "Well, we're in a store. Please check the cameras.
Yeah.
Stay calm." First thing I'm gonna tell my child is always stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
Stay calm and explain your side and keep your words very short.
Cut out a little bit, Lion. Probably had some stuff coming in, but still can't hear you. Try one more time. You may have to go out and come back in. Oh, hold on.
No, you good. You good. That was my side.
Yeah, go ahead. But you give the son those pieces of advice. But let's shift a little bit. Are we talking about giving advice to son? And those are two instances. I'm gonna let you pick. Which way are we going to go? Oh, hold on. Most racist feelings are brought on by one traumatic time in their life. Yeah. Either that
I
or
can
what
believe
they've
that.
heard or what they have, what they perceive it to be. I got a good story about that one too. How I heard a small thing that happened spiraled out of control when people were talking amongst themselves, and I was listening. Oh, it turned into. Well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. So I was on this trip. We took the kids. You know, I'm a teacher. We took the kids on this trip to Charleston. We were riding on a charter bus, and at this time, I worked for a charter school, and it was primarily white, and with there were probably a total of 5 black people in the school. When I say people, that includes me, the secretary, and the 3 kids that went there. Now,
Damn.
overall, I mean, I received fair treatment. It was a good experience. But on this trip during that time on Tybee Island, they did not want Orange Crush happening there, which I kind of see that. Given I spent so much time there, I kind of see some of it where they coming from, but it is a public place. But anyway, regardless, the guy rented the house, and the police came and shut the whole thing down, and they were talking about it. And you know what it wound up as? He had a gun. The gun was illegal. He had drugs in the house. Now, none of this stuff happened, but it started from somebody stopping a party that was too loud to all of a sudden he's a gang member with guns and had drugs in the house. This stuff spirals out of control from what's in their imaginations.
Right.
And our boys can't escape that. You can't escape what happens in somebody else's imagination.
No, you cannot.
But so which way you want to go, man? We going to go with the Malcolm Jamal Warner, or are we going to talk about DMX?
Let's go to Malcolm Jamal Warner. I feel like that was a interesting topic.
Okay, so let's take a look at this. All this stuff is related. There's a TikTok going around, Malcolm Jamal Warner. You may have seen it, but we're going to watch it together. And he talks about shifting the way we raise black boys. And I'm going to give the caveat, shifting the way we raise boys. Because some of our white brothers may be watching this too. And guess what? It worked about the same way. All right, so here it is. Give a listen.
The thing about a black boy is you don't necessarily want to beat a black boy. What you want to do is you want to love him so divinely. You want to love him so fiercely that your disappointment will kill him.
All right.
I agree
Mm-hmm.
conceptually with that.
Right.
You should raise your children and love your children to the point that they don't want to disappoint you.
Right.
Um, However, I do believe there are times in certain children where a spanking or something like that is necessary.
But now
But
keep
I
in
think
mind.
there's a
Go
Go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead.
I think there's a line between whooping or beating a child
Mm-hmm.
and spanking slash disciplining a child.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. He said beat. Um,
Right.
I've had the pleasure to see a lot of boys get beat. I've seen it happen a few times from fathers, and I've seen it happen a lot of times with mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen is this: the boy would do something. Matter of fact, I'll never forget this time. In the grocery store, this young man had asked his dad for like some candy or something. The boy had to be about 14, maybe 13. And that dad grabbed his fist and hit him dead in the center, caved his chest in because he asked for some candy. Was that right?
No.
Or when the boy misbehaves at school, you have to call the mother in. And we have to tell her she got to do that across the street. Because if we see it, we got to report it as abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm reminded of the saying that do you want to be feared or loved? And I think a lot of people try to rule by fear because they don't want to get that beaten. but that does not produce critical thinkers because they're doing things to avoid pain versus thinking their way out the situation. I've seen it happen
Mm-hmm.
dozens of times. Now, like you said, the spanking, that need to be in your tool belt.
Yep.
That need to be in your tool belt. Punishment need to be in your tool belt. Lectures need to be in your tool belt. But some people tool belt don't have none of that.
Nope.
Dan said, "Lion ain't lying." The lion ain't lying. You nailed it. And OG said, "Restriction hurt me more than a beating."
As you get older,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. When I was younger, I didn't want the spanking. When I got older, now give me the spanking. I don't. I'm not trying to be down for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Got
Oh yeah.
things to do. Let me get this spanking and get on. Get back outside. I ain't trying to be down. I ain't trying to be stuck in the house for 2 weeks and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that my parent could levy
Mm-hmm.
a punishment and I would adhere to it. There's a lot of parents out here now that tell their kids, "Hey, you can't go outside for 2 weeks," and the little joker will be going back outside in 2 days
Oh yeah.
because they don't even have a level of respect for their mother or father.
Yeah, that's right. Or the parent don't have the wherewithal to keep up with what they said they was going to do.
Right.
I mean, I see it all the time. I see it all the
All the time.
time when these kids do things, and instead of kind of correct the behavior, they condone it
Hmm.
and fuss at the teachers for bringing it to their attention.
And not even so much that is that not only they condone it, it's a lot of times when you see, even if they don't condone it, they don't have any type of, there's no corrective action.
Oh, bro, listen to this. This is Teacher Chronicles. I had the student, right? And you know, these days, all the kids got cell phones and this and that. School rules is don't have the cell phone out.
Right.
And when you really want to enforce the rules, keep it in your book bag and turn it off.
Right.
So I got this boy who be on his phone in class all the time, up under the table, texting, doing all this stuff. When we took his phone, told his mama about it, guess what? Mama
Don't take my
know.
boy's phone.
Oh, guess who? No. Guess who texting him?
His mom.
Yes.
Why are you texting your son at school?
Yeah. See what I'm saying? And now you say most of the parents nowadays are still kids themselves.
True. Mentally, yes. Mentally,
Yeah,
yes. A lot of the parents these days are still kids. They want their kids to be their friends, and they're not trying to be parents. They're trying to be their kids' friends.
exactly. And that's what I was going to bring up. We can't do that. But, you know, back to what Malcolm Jamal Warner said though. So do you think that instilling that reputation of yourself and your kids is effective in the way he speaks, or is it better to beat them down so they know you're not playing? And I use the word beat down on purpose.
I don't think you should have to beat your child down so they know you're not playing. I think the first thing that most parents have to do is do what you say you're gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
good or bad. Good or bad. If you say you're gonna do X, Y, Z for your child, you do it. If you say you're gonna take X, Y, Z away because if they don't perform at a certain level, then you do that and you
Mm-hmm.
stick to it. I think the biggest problem most parents have is they'll set rules and they won't stick with them.
He said the punishment should fit the crime.
Correct. You know, if you tell your child, "Hey, clean your room," and they don't clean your room, you say, "Hey, clean your room." I gave my son. I just did it to him today. Clean
Mm-hmm.
your room, or you won't do nothing, or you want to be able to do nothing in here all day. Got up this morning. I know last night. I walked by, room still messed up. You know, I don't have no problem going on the Wi-Fi and cutting it off. Pause. I bet you won't do nothing else in here till that room is clean.
Mm-hmm.
And if it would have went past that, then it would have been, "Oh, so you still don't want to clean the room up? Okay, no problem." You know, now I start taking things away. "Oh, you still don't want to? Okay, now we pull the spanking out."
Oh yeah. So
You know, you got
I
to be
would.
determined of the path.
You're right. I agree. And I would say now, my brother Damien he always tell me. He probably gonna call me today and tell me this too. He gonna say, "Man, you a teacher. You always got to be middle of the road, and you always got to be there." But and I agree with him. At first, I had trouble with it, but I agree with him. And having to have the unique opportunity to see how this stuff play out. The biggest thing that I see is the way that the kids turn out, the way the
Mm-hmm.
kids are. The kids that catch them beat downs, the ones that really fear them, they gonna do the right thing. They gonna do it because they don't want to catch it. You tell them you're gonna call their parents, or they might start crying right away because they know they're gonna get it. But what I've also seen with those children is that it's something missing in them. The want to take risk, the want to see
Mm-hmm.
more because it's
Mm-hmm.
been beat out of them. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. They do exactly this thing, and they don't veer from that path at all, even when it's positive things. And we wonder why our kids are the way they are and why they can't compete in the world because they don't have the wherewithal, everything inside to take those risks because they're always afraid.
Mm.
Always
What
afraid.
if, what's gonna happen if I mess up?
Yes. I've had children that have had breakdowns because they made a B on a test. And it wasn't the type of break because you can tell the difference. It wasn't the type of breakdown to where, oh, I wanted to do good because I like doing good and I'm stressed out because of that. It was like, oh, I got to go home with this B. And it's a B. It's an 89. That's what happens. But I will say this. You do have to have those whippings in your back pocket. I think you got to use all of it.
You do got to use all of
You
it.
got
It's
to
gonna
use
take
all of
all
them.
of it. It's gonna take all of it to get a child from 0 to 18 and beyond. It's gonna take all of it. It's gonna take all of it. It's gonna take both parents.
Oh, I meant to remove that. I'll try to set us up for the next thing. Well, I guess since I'd have messed up that, let's go ahead and look at the next thing. Oh man. So this next video clip, right, is it's the one with DMX and he's talking to his son. Now, this one is like 2 minutes long, so we may end up stopping it or doing something. And Lion, if you want to stop it at any point, just tell me to stop and then we can chop it up. All right, so here we go.
Not interacting with each other. So long. Why? Why?
Because you never mean.
Okay.
Okay.
But what about the first 14 years, man, when I broke my back? Dude, I'm not even talking about providing, but just to have a relationship with you. Do you remember how often I would, hey, what's going on? Nothing. Anything you want to talk about? Do you recall any time I asked you, like, I would make up things just to spend time with you, yet still, we had no interaction. We're the type of people that we're never really gonna talk much.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't love each other, because we're similar in that way. Like, even when you see me mad, you would know that I'm not mad at you. Yo, I didn't know a nigga would fall.
Oh, I want to pause right there. The reason why that caught me at first, that you can hear the hurt in his voice at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I labeled this "He Is Me." Because he could barely get out the fact that he tried to have a relationship with his son and tried to guide him in a way, but the son wasn't trying to hear it.
Right. Oh, think all children kind of enter those teenage years,
Mhm.
and they are trying to figure out who they are. And that all for a lot of children, that means creating a separation between themselves and their parents.
Mhm.
Because for a lot of reasons, and there's different things that happen throughout any of our lives, children don't often see themselves as being their parents. They
Right.
want to be something different than what their parents were. Because most of us don't see our parents as cool or fun or any of that. We see our parents as a function of a system. So we all want to break away from a lot of times people want to break away from their parents um and be something different. So you don't feel like your parent who are what they are has anything to offer you to what you want to become.
So my question in this, because he is me, how many dads out there have had that feeling like they trying to connect, but they just can't? Like it doesn't work. And what do you do when that happens?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of dads have had that problem. Because let's look at it. Let's say you a sports guy.
Hmm.
You're a sports guy. You love sports. You grew up and played, and outside of that, you grew up and played sports. You married your wife. You had some kids. That's what you know. But then you went to work, you did okay for yourself. So you gave your child some things, and you like, oh, I want them to do this, and I want them to do that. So now they got a little more culture. They done played instruments. They going to play. All the stuff you said you wanted your child to experience, but now they have a whole different interest base than you as a man. Because they did more different things, they have a large interest. So y'all can't even communicate because y'all interest base so different.
Right.
Y'all don't even have common interests. Like you and your son, it's beautiful to watch you and your son talk and get on the nerd show because that's something y'all have a common interest with that stuff. And y'all can have at length conversations about that stuff.
Hmm.
Easy. And y'all had a whole conversation about who could beat Bruce Lee.
Yeah. We talk for an hour.
And, right. And that's beautiful to me.
Mm.
But everyone doesn't have that. You got a kid that's quote unquote the band kid, and you was this jock dad. He's sitting there like my dad don't understand me, and you're sitting there like I don't understand my son.
Yeah.
And some of us who grew up a little rougher,
Hmm.
and then we were lucky enough to raise our children, and we fought hard for this to raise our children in a much softer environment than we grew up in.
Hmm.
Now we don't relate to our children
Yeah.
because we still relate to that rougher life that we had to live that got us where we're going,
You're right.
and our children like, I don't know about it. I ain't no street dude. If your child ain't no street dude, they didn't have to experience none of that because of the work you put in.
Yeah. And don't be, I could go on a whole nother soapbox about how we as people, we try to belittle people who are not that. We
Right.
call them bougie or we call them country because they not that. Or they feel like everybody has to go through a struggle. No, we don't have to go. My kids don't have to struggle. I didn't
Exactly.
have to struggle like that.
And I'm working very hard so they don't have to.
That's right. OG said, how many parents think they are slicker than their kids and wonder why their kids don't want nothing to do with them? Ooh.
I understand where the OG is going with that. I think
Mm,
you have to be a little bit slicker than your kids to a certain degree because you got to outthink them. You got to
mhm,
outthink your kids. You got to catch them, because the kids going. We've all been kids. We know the dumb stuff we all gonna do. We all gonna try to get away with a little bit more than our parents want us to get away with and all that. And you got to be slicker than your kids that way as a parent. But you can't trick your kids and then want them to trust you.
yeah. You know what I do? And again, being a teacher, I think I have more experience with kids than a lot of people.
Well, you
My
should. I
own
hope.
kids, plus the thousands of kids that I've taught interact with on a daily basis. And I'm gonna tell you
I
what
would hope
works
so.
for me. We know what they're gonna do. I forecast and tell them what they're thinking before they even try it.
Yep.
Okay, I see you with that phone over there. And what you're going to do is try to hide it in your pocket, but it's real big and I can see it. And it's not going to work that way. Before they even attempt to do it. And they say, oh man, Doc, how you knew that? Yeah, I knew that. So I tell them ahead of time, and they learn that they can't get nothing past me. That just because I don't say something don't mean I don't see it.
Right.
We do that. Now OG said, remember another video and DMS was talking to his son about him smoking crack. I think this was the same one, but it was a piece of it. Whew, man, this is getting heavy right now.
And that's another thing. You got to be very careful about what you do in front of your kids, because it doesn't take much for them to lose respect for you.
Yeah, it doesn't, because they think that you are your kids, regardless if they vocalize it or not. As a dad, they think you are Superman and you are invincible. I learned that a couple weeks ago. My kids was talking about me, to my wife. I was there, but we got a strange relationship in our house. But they was like, yeah, dad is this and dad is that. Dad wouldn't do that. He's not like that. He's like this. He's like untouchable. And I was like, wow. That's what my kids think about me. It made me feel good.
Right.
But it's how you lead your life.
Yeah.
And all of this connects to all the videos we've watched. They connect. That's why we asked the question, what would you tell your kids if they were Tyree Nichols? The first one, we talked about how you can love them and you're in their disappointment. So they thinking, okay, what would dad do? But then this one showing, what if you don't have the answers? Then what do you do? Oh, there you go. Really, I don't think you think they don't notice, but they also see everything we do. That's what I was referring to in being slick. Yes, sir.
Yep. They definitely see everything we do, and they see how you treat significant others. They see how you treat people out in the world. They see how you talk to people, and every little thing matters. It all matters. My son told me the other day that one of his classes, every now and then the teacher will allow him to do a couple of minutes of stand up in front of the class.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I thought it was genius, because if you know the child will cut up a little bit anyway, instead of him cutting up throughout all day long, I'm going to give him 2 minutes. 2 minutes, let him get it out. Or he going to behave himself all day long because he just want to do them 2 minutes.
That's right. That is right. Oh, I love that, man. I used to do stuff like that too, but that's perfect. And that's not killing the kid. That's not squashing the kid who he is. Right. That's allowing him to blossom, but knowing when to blossom.
Right. So now he's like, okay, I want to do my 2 minutes. So I'm gonna be quiet. I want to do my 2 minutes.
I bet you writing jokes too.
He work on his stuff.
He always prepare. Oh man, I love that job, man. I love that. Look at it. This is something we talk about in the book study a lot. Even how you treat yourself.
Absolutely.
Man.
In my experience, my children will tell me to do something for myself before anybody else. My daughters, I be saying, well, I'm thinking about doing it. My daughters be like, go do it, Daddy. You should do that. You should. Yeah. I want to go on this trip. Go. You should go. You need to go. You need a vacation. My daughters will want me to do more for myself. So I feel like they must not see me do enough for myself, because they quit. I can't even get it out all the way. Go do it. You should do it. You should do it. You should do that. Yeah. Go do it.
You're right. You are right. But we showing our sons how to treat themselves by how we treat ourselves. Right. And if you think about it, watch this. This can be a positive, a negative, or both. As a kid, one thing I heard my dad always say is that daddy eat last. He always said that. Even he's the pastor of our church, and as the pastor, he's the leader. And guess what? He eat last. Whenever we have things, he'll go to the back of the line and people get behind them. He'll pretend like he's talking to somebody so he can circle back and get behind them. So by seeing that my whole life, I found myself saying it too. You know, daddy eat last. Now, it's a noble thing. But what happens when daddy eat last, spill into other stuff? You know, y'all might not have enough money that week and you need medicine for you. But daddy eat last. So you're going to get medicine, do other stuff for them before you take care of you. We're breaking ourselves down with that. Yeah. So it can work both ways. And, you know, I want my son to know that he's important too.
Right. And I think the most important thing right there, what you just said. We have to, because the world isn't going to do it. As fathers, specifically with our sons, because it's a little bit kinder with letting the women know that they matter and they're important and they count. We have to make sure our sons know they're important, that they count. Yeah. I think one of the best things Kevin Samuels ever said was that one we posted before where he said, "You matter."
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna post it again.
Yeah, because it ain't never going out of style. I think that's one of the things we have. It's one of the reasons I do Book of Man is to let people know, man, as men, we matter. Boys, y'all matter. Y'all matter just as much as the woman. And we matter. And you gotta teach that, because a person has to have self-worth to have any value in anything else.
Yeah, because if you don't love yourself,
you can't love nothing else.
You can't love somebody else.
Right.
You
can't possibly love somebody else. If you don't love yourself, you won't see yourself as important enough for somebody else to love.
You got that right. And again, that's why we're doing this He Is Me series. Because everybody is like us. We're all the same in a little bit different ways. And we've all had this moment like DMX where it's like, I'm trying. There's no manual for this. Or we like Malcolm Jamal Warner and like, maybe we have a difference in opinion on how to raise our sons and daughters, or specifically sons. That's what he was talking about. So that's when we're talking about this stuff. Or we may have a son that's in the position of Tyree Nichols, or that could be in that position, and we don't know what to tell him. What do we tell him to do? All this stuff is connected. But let's look at the rest of this and see what come out of it.
I didn't know not one with a father. Not one. The best I could, man. Loving. You always knew I loved you. You always knew I loved you. I didn't know what I was doing. But I tried. I gave it a genuine effort. Still genuine. I know I'm not the best father. Damn, I mean, I tried. I really, sincerely tried. I tried, man. I'm sorry. I tried. That's all I wanted. Never give it up. Ever. Never am I no. Every man wants his first child to be a son. Mine. Embrace it. Not interacting with each other.
All right. Man, that was some. Whew.
And I think that part at the end where he's like, I tried. I really did. I did the best I could do. Like you say, your children don't know you figure this thing out as you go. And in a situation like DMX, like you said, not only did he not have a father, he said nobody I knew had one.
Yeah. No examples.
None. He coming from a zero from ground zero with it.
To trying to raise a kid or
Right,
advise a kid or guide them in a certain direction.
right,
And how can you guide them in a direction when you don't have that direction? You figured it out.
right. That's rough.
Man, that was some
Meanwhile, while he was traveling and doing all the music and all of that, and his struggles with you know
drugs.
drug abuse, drug abuse, it's rough. You know, it's why we all have to give each other some grace sometimes, and it's important for us to have those conversations with our children.
Yeah. Um, it's I guess for me, seeing him hit that spot where it was nothing else he could do. I mean, you could see it when he was just deflated. It was like I tried. I couldn't,
Hmm.
and this was nothing else left. And I guess that's what they want to see us just trying. Because there's some of us out there that don't try at all.
Hmm.
And then there's some of us out there that's trying, but they don't know how. And that's a message I want to get across, that even if you don't know how, or if you recognize at a certain point that this not working, that you can always shift it up and change. You can change directions at any point. Any point. So OG said, but I'm sure the son knew about the drug use. And that's probably why he didn't want anything to do with him for a while. And
Possible.
yep. And that connected to what you said earlier about being slick and trying to hide things.
Yep. And might know why he may have lost respect for him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, man. It's none of this stuff that we talk about here is one solution.
Mm-mm.
It's often many sides to it and multiple steps and multiple things you have to look at. But the main thing is, and I think DMX showed it where it happens, you have to keep trying. You
Yeah.
can't give up.
No,
You can't give up. You
not at
can't
all.
quit. You have to try, and you have to do your best to let your children know I am trying and I do love you.
And that was the big thing. For me, when all this really hit me, is one day I was thinking back. My dad right now is like 71. And when I could remember when he was my age, I remember when my dad was in his 40s. So then I'm like, wow, I'm in my 40s and I'm trying to guess this thing. So he must have been trying to figure it out too. But to me, he had all the answers and it was right. He knew what he was
Yep.
doing, but he didn't. He was figuring it out too.
That's all we can do.
Oh, we can't forget trying too hard and forcing things to happen. Ooh.
Um, I think I would rather try too hard and push too hard, and my child and be able to have a conversation with my child and say, look, I was just trying to do the best I could, and they know I was pushing, they know I was trying, and them ever have to wonder
Mm-hmm.
if I was really trying. Um,
Right.
and Robert's right. The OG is right. You do have to. Sometimes the best thing you can do as a parent is let a child find out for themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing you can do as a parent is let your child fail so they can see what it feels like.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Um,
and y'all are in unique positions. And again, I'm not in that same position. And I do understand where OG coming from. He and I have spoken on several occasions about different things. And so I understand where he coming from. And Lion, I understand where you coming from. And it's much different than myself. Um, but we just gotta know, some of us are out there like, you know what? I'm gonna raise my son different. I'm gonna do stuff completely different. And some of us
mhm,
out there like, okay, I'm gonna do it the same.
correct.
And then some of us out there is doing nothing. Like even, you know, I don't even know how I can say this because I know it's a stereotype. about dads that don't care and don't fight, even though there are some that do that. But most of the ones I know, they want to get in there and do something, but they don't know how.
It it's very hard to navigate the being a father and not being in the home with your children.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on all parties involved, it can be a very difficult spot to be in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've been in that spot,
Right.
and if the other parties involved don't have a desire on some level for the father to be involved, or their desire is to make it difficult for the father more than make it good for the child, it is a very, very taxing position to be in. And just the energy it requires to see your child can be enormous.
Now, here's a different perspective. So OG said my father was gone from my life for 30 years. And when he came back, he tried too hard and it made me push him away when I was wanting him in it. So that's a different perspective. So as a son, you know, and we don't know the situation why that happened or whatever, but let's say what advice would we give a dad who's in that situation? They've been thinking about themselves or doing whatever for decades and now they want to reconnect. What did we tell them?
Well, my own personal experience, having had no connection with my father, it would be I'm not interested
Mm-hmm.
because at this point, you know, all of the lessons I knew, either I got them from someplace else or I just missed them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't, I personally, I don't need it. That's how I feel.
Right.
Would I be open to having a conversation? Yes. Um, would I give him an opportunity to meet his grandchildren? Yes. Would I ever do I feel the need to have a fatherly connection to him? Not at all. Charles
Mm-hmm.
Lawton is my father, as far as I'm concerned. And I say that with no, he knows it, and the world knows it. That's as far as I'm concerned, my father figure, who the man that did the most to raise me is Charles Lawton. And that's just what it is. So I'm good. That's me personally. Now,
Right.
somebody else I would ask him some medical questions.
Oh,
Just some,
yeah, no.
just for my own medical well being. But outside of that, I'm not really interested
And
because
my
I'm like
go ahead, man.
I'm grown. Well, I'm just saying I'm grown now. There's been people at the same addresses in my family for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to find it, you could have found it.
I I don't know what that's like. My dad been there since the whole time. And we talk about, or we were talking about, the relationship later on in life. Um, and it's stuff that I learned even now. I'm in my mid 40s and dad is 70. And we still talk and get along. And it's stuff that I learned from him and times when we just enjoy each other's company and stuff like that with the kids. And so there's still, to me, in my situation, there's still more there.
Yeah,
But because they're still growing at the same time we are still growing. And I don't know what it's like, so I don't want to say that I
right.
don't know what that's like. um but what I will say is that relationships with people are important, and that I guess you have to do what's comfortable for you. And I'm gonna go to this comment. OG said take it day by day and learn the boundaries, because you can't pick up where you left off. That's A1 right there, man. That's the That's the big thing right there. You know, you got to take that slow. But I'm not going to tell anybody that they have to let somebody in their life. You don't.
No.
And that's the advice OG would give the somebody who, you know, decided not to be a part of something they was trying to get back in. You know.
I think what's interesting about this phenomenon we're talking about fathers coming back into the lives or fathers missing from the lives, is how much information is coming out now about how difficult it was for men to be in the lives of their children.
Right.
And I think in those type of situations where we find out later that the father tried
Mm-hmm.
and was denied for whatever reason, um, I think it's easier to give a little bit of grace and a little bit of okay, well, let's see what we can do in those situations
Mm-hmm.
than it is in a situation where the father just walked away and didn't try. But
Right.
we don't know until you have a conversation with the man and hear the story from both sides.
Right.
What was really the situation?
Mm-hmm. And you're right, man. You're right. And I mean, again, this is one of those things, man. That we just can't. I'm not qualified to talk about that. I mean, I can talk about the effects of it. I can talk about kids who experience that because I observe them every day. But
Well,
other,
I think you're uniquely qualified to talk about it because you have to deal with the consequences of those situations every day in your professional career.
mm-hmm.
You deal with the consequences of single parent homes, no fathers in the home, some cases, no mother, no father in the home.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Right. You see it. You see it firsthand. You talk to those children. You listen to them talk about their lives. You probably know as much about those kids' lives as anybody,
Mm-hmm.
at least for that stretch of time where they're in your care. For that year of their life, you know more about what's going on with those kids than most people.
Yeah, you're right.
So
Absolutely right.
I think you're uniquely qualified to talk about stuff like this. And I would imagine teachers and educators probably have as much, if not more, to add to this conversation than a lot of the medical professionals and the researchers that study.
Right.
Because y'all deal with the direct results of it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you can. I'm fairly certain in your time you can almost recognize the two parent kids from the single parent kids.
Oh yeah, you can see it, and that's why I said what I said about, and I guess bringing us back full circle too about what Malcolm Jamal Warner said, because I can see the effects of people who just beat their kids down
Right,
versus people who just use spankings and other tactics. Um, you can see the difference. You can see how they react to stimulus or how they choose to deal with problems.
right,
Because their first thing is to hit. Um, so it's a lot of different things, man. And I hope y'all can see how all this stuff connects. It's a trying connection to make between what do we tell our sons who are in the position of Tyree Nichols. You know, how do you get to come home versus like DMX? We don't know what in the world we're doing. So if you don't know what you're doing, then how you gonna tell your son something? Because you figuring it out too. And then if
well,
they on the way with pal, go ahead.
I'm gonna close on this, brother.
Yep, let's go.
Um, First off, I want to send my condolences out to the family of Charlie Nichols, and I hope they get whatever possible closure or whatever they can get
Mhm.
in this situation. Even though I don't know, there's nothing that can make up for the loss of a life. Um, and then to all the fathers out there, we know you're doing the best you can do. Keep pushing. And there's help and support right here. And you know, you're not gonna be perfect. None of us are, but just continue to show your children you love them and do the best you can for them. And that's all I got today, though.
Ooh, I can't add no more to that. You just summed it all up. And it is what it is. So go ahead. You can take us to the house, man.
Thank y'all for joining us, man. We'll be back Thursday night. Hey, I'm celebrating Valentine's early next weekend, so we won't be here next Saturday, but we will be here Thursday night for the book study. We love you. We out.
Peace.